2023 SCC Finals features championship between Magnus Carlsen and Hikaru Nakamura. Let's review one of those games. The games were amazing. I watched all of those. It was very dramatic, and you can see the result at the end of it. So Nakamura is with the white and Carlsen with the black is with the black in the first game. So let's begin reviewing it. E4, E5, knight F3, knight C6, and then we get the ruin. After A6, we get bishop A4, we get the Morpheus defense, and we get this position. This position is very difficult to understand for me because it's a lot of maneuvering. It's very closed Morpheus system, and it's very maneuvering. Like knight goes to D2 and then goes to B3 and then goes to here and then it's very hard. B5, and we get this position. So after Magnus goes C5 in this section, Carlsen just goes and lashes out the move bishop B6, and it's very interesting what happens here. And after playing very quickly, these players shuffle their pieces, and they have almost 3 minutes on the clock. After move Queen d7, we get Queen f3, we get takes, and Queen e6 by Magnus. This position is just a draw, and let's see how these players will do it. But Nakamura has only 1 minute on the clock compared to Magnus's 2 and 25. We get knight to e3, pawn goes to a5, and we take the pawn on b3, rook comes to a3, and now rook goes back to e6. We get takes, now rook goes to a4, and now Magnus has the chance to play the good move or the brilliant move, which is knight d4, and he does it. If you take with it's actually the best move to take with it, and after that you just play he takes d4. You have an advantage here, and we get a few moves later. Players shuffle their pieces and they go for the end game, and when no thing is achieved here, his position is a dead draw, and these players achieve a draw here. After g4, the draw is achieved. Players have low time, and they agreed to a draw. Okay, the first game was very interesting, and now we'll review another game. I'll be back very soon. So, we're back in the game between Magnus and Hikaru on 5-minute section. This is game 2, and this is where Magnus's advantage on the 5-minute section builds up. Magnus is with the white here, and he goes for e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and we get the typical Ruy Lopez position again, and we get this variation. So, according to engine, this is known as the Berlin defense, and yes, it is known as the Berlin defense. And now the Berlin defense can turn into many different variations during the middle game, but it's still very hard to figure out the position here. We get d6, and after pawn pushes by many players, we get rerouting by Magnus. Magnus just reroutes, and he goes for the kill with the move c takes d4, and he wants to lash out the move d5. Knight comes forward, and after that, queen to a6, attacking the pawn. Also, f4 move is still lurking here. The pawn could go on f4, so you can play some sort of a4 bishop to d3 variation. So it's very tense position for Hikaru. We got rook e7, a4, bishop c8, queen f1, knight d7, f4, h5, e5. Great move by Magnus. E5 is significantly better than any other move in the position. Magnus just plays with a very high accuracy in this game, and he goes to f5. You can't take because rook to bishop to g5 just wins the rook. And Magnus Hikaru goes e5, e4 doesn't care about rook, and after takes, and we get rook e8. It will be bad because if you play bishop g5, this move is very bad because it significantly weakens your pawn structure and your position. So even though you could save a rook with move f5, f6 would be devastating. Okay, we get this position where players are very low on time, and after this move, there's only one move that wins the game for Magnus, and it's very hard to find that move actually. Well, Hikaru just played bishop a6, hoping that Magnus would take the bishop and hang the rook on the corner or just sacrifice the rook. Well, Magnus plays rook takes e7 and just wins. You can't take the bishop. You just can't take the queen. Okay, you take the queen, I take the rook back, and I win. I pin. Okay, what happens if I take? Okay, you take, I take, queen takes a6, and just win. Yeah, and in that position, after that move, Nakamura resigned. 1.5 to half. Let's go for another game. I will be back very soon. So we're back. Another game between Magnus and Hikaru. This is another 5-minute section. Before that games, we reviewed first and second games, and other games that I've not reviewed were all draws. So up until this point, this is I think a game in 6 or 7, something like that. And before that, it's all draws, and it's Magnus still has 1 point advantage. It is Magnus has 3 points, Nakamura has 2 points. Let's see what happens in this game. Magnus with the white pieces goes d4, and we get traditional Indian defense. And after that, we get the exchange of the center pawns, queen c2 played by Magnus, and after knight takes, pawn takes, bishop e7, and now we get e4. Move e4 is a very nice move. Magnus tries to solidify the center. These kinds of analysis of the game shows that this is a queen's Indian defense, and Nakamura, I usually play queen's Indian defense very lot because I like it. I think this is a Kasparov variation. I think it is with the move e4, but we get the castles, bishop d3, and we get the several moves in the position until we get this position. Here, Nakamura's bishop here is very strong, lurking over the diagonal that can be controlled by white. Also, this pawn is a bit of isolated, but in this position, actually, Magnus has advantage. Magnus has advantage because his rooks, his pieces are much more active. This bishop can become a very good piece, and also this knight can, yeah, this knight and the rooks can become very active. Although the Nakamura's threats, Nakamura doesn't have that kind of activity. His pieces are all tied together. Now after move c4, which is a very good move, this bishop is forever locked in this diagonal, and you want to trade the good bishop that the black has. And also you want to make the good bishop by yourself in the b2 square. We get rook e8, we get queen c2, and we get a few moves later this position where Magnus has advantage now. Queen c3, very good move. It takes, and after that knight jumps in. This is just devastating. Bishop comes back. Now we get a5, try to go in that position. And after takes, we get this position where, yeah, now game will be significantly harder for Nakamura to save. Yeah, but this is very low time controls. Magnus has 6.9 seconds. Hikaru has 6 seconds. And this is just a 1 hour endgame, 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 endgame. Yeah, they just go on forever until Magnus takes the knight on e5, and no matter what you do, if you take with the pawn, if you take with the pawn, I take queen, and you're gonna lose. And if you take with the queen, I take with that, and no matter what you do, I still promote. Yeah, and now Nakamura resigned at the position like this. Another game for Magnus. Magnus has 2 point advantage here. We're gonna be back very soon with the 5-minute section again. So we're back. So one thing happened here after that game. Another 2 games were played between these 2 players. One was won by Magnus and one was won by Hikaru. So the status quo has remained. Magnus has 2 point advantage, and this is another game between these 2 players. This was one of the low accuracy games. It wasn't even nearly in the 80s. It was one player played with 75 accuracy, one with 81. So it's very hard and very interesting to see what happened in this game. So e4 by Nakamura, and we get the Sicilian. This is known as the Alpine variation. Very hard and very complicated at the grandmaster level, but very straightforward and easy at the low level games. We get this kind of position where Magnus has the center chain here, and Hikaru trying to build that after en passant, and after bishop takes, we get a few moves in. The move c4. Move c4 by Nakamura is very good move. It just doesn't. It isn't just like the move you see, but the position says that if you just take the knight here, You just bishop takes d4 just wins the game. Yeah, bishop takes d4 wins. Yeah, because it's check and you attack the queen. And no matter what you do, the best move in the position is the knight takes d4, and which can be an issue. a6 played by Magnus. Magnus misses that move, and now Hikaru has advantage. Knight c3. Hikaru with another great move. A takes b5. Knight takes d5. Queen g6. Knight takes b5. Rook b8. Knight to d7. dc7 check. And now in this game, I watched it, and Magnus just gave up a piece. Sorry, Hikaru just gave up a piece. The bishop. Hikaru doesn't have a bishop. Magnus has, but the king is in danger. Knight check was given, and it's gonna be very interesting what happens here. Knight king d8, bishop b6, bishop b4. Two mistakes by two players. None of those ideas are good. None of those ideas can be revolved very easily. This move is a bad move because you can just play f5, f5, just ignoring all of it and playing f5. And okay, bishop b4 is simple. Knight to d5 check just ends it, ends the threat. But Nakamura misses in and plays rook e3. Now Magnus has 2-point advantage, and over the time, Magnus doesn't have that advantage because Hikaru with knight e7 and the move f4 just loses the advantage once again. But after en and bishop coming back, Magnus uses his knight to come, which is a bad move. But it's only 10 seconds. Knight coming to d5. Now pawn goes to h4. What you gonna do? Well, you're gonna give a check. And after knight blocks, a huge mistake by Magnus. This is the most ridiculous mistake in the game. You just can't pin yourself in that position. You just have to go back. The going back, f6 is the right move here. But no, after that, Hikaru plays rook takes f3, sacrificing the bishop. After h takes d3, you get this, and you're gonna lose the queen because Hikaru thought, Magnus thought that you can just block with the knight, but no, knight is pinned, so it's no other move in this position, and we get this position where Hikaru won with 10 seconds on the clock compared to Magnus's 5, and this game is just over. Wow, Rook is lost here, no matter what you do, and this was just amazing chess game, and Hikaru is back on the track, and he's only down 1 point in the 5-minute blitz section. We'll be back very soon with another game. So we're back. We left at the 5-minute section where Hikaru was down 1 point, and the game was 5-4 in favor of Magnus. But the 3-minute blitz section is much more favorable for Nakamura than Magnus because Nakamura is the speed demon and one of the greatest blitz chess players of all time. And this can change very quickly. Let's review this game. Magnus with the white pieces, Hikaru with the black. If d4, knight to f6, we get the Indian game. c4, e6, knight f3, b6, g3, bishop b7, and we get this position. Wow, castles, knight c3, and we get the Bogo Indian defense. This is known as the Bogo Indian defense exchange variation. We get queen d3, knight takes c3, and now Nakamura's brilliant knight to g5, exploding everything, threatening a mate, threatening bishop, threatening knight. And you threatened the knight because your knight was taken. The knight g5 was just devastating move. But knight coming to e5, e4, best move found by Magnus. Magnus isn't dead here. We get this. Nakamura on the clock has 3 minutes and 4 seconds, even though game was started with 3 minutes. Wow. Nakamura loses only seconds here. And he goes for it. H4. Now, queen coming there. Rook to f4. Sacrificing. You can't really sacrifice. Sacrificing the rook because you can't take it because you're pinned. But you can play king h3 at any moment. Rook e1. Nakamura just builds the pressure, goes for the attack, and queen takes g3, mate in 5. Take the pawn. Wow. f2 check. King coming here. Check. You go here. Check. You go here. Check. Oh, no, it's not the move. Queen c1. Queen c1 is the move. Checkmate. And only move goes, and yeah, it's checkmate now. Devastating. Hikaru just destroyed his opponent. Let's see how will Magnus recover from it. Game is 5-5. We will be back soon with another 3-minute blitz game. So, we left on the game 10, and now on the game 13. And these two players played one draw after that, and 2 games were won by Hikaru. So the game is 7.5 to 5.5 in favor of Hikaru Nakamura. Interesting. Let's see how Hikaru or Magnus could respond to this kind of advantage by Hikaru. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6. We get the classic variations, players spending only 1 second. And now we get this kind of variation. Hikaru jumping in with the knight. He goes for attack. Knight takes b3. This is very unusual move in this position. Just open up the line of the rook. And we get the double pawn structure from these two players. The pawn sacrifices. And we get this position where Hikaru and Magnus are dead draw. This is a dead draw position. No one can win this. But Magnus has 10 less seconds on the clock, which is a significant... which is not a significant advantage, but it's an advantage. Now, as you can see on the clock, now Magnus plays a brilliant move actually. Magnus playing bishop takes b3 is amazing. Well, what happens if I take? Well, rook takes d8 is a draw. Rook takes d8 is a draw, and this happened in the game. We get takes, bishop to f6. Very good move, but slightly inaccurate. Well, Magnus going for the attack. While Hikaru is building his attack by taking the pawn, Magnus has to be careful. Well, get here. Boom, takes. And we protect on b2 squared. Check. King comes to h7. Wow, check again. Nakamura building the pressure. Only few seconds on Nakamura's clock. And we get this position. King g4, f3 check. And the maneuvering goes, maneuvering. Wow, Nakamura is building pressure. Yes, he's winning. Out of nowhere, Nakamura is winning. Nakamura just can utilize this position by playing rook b1. Sorry, Magnus can play rook b1 here, which is the best move. And you can just take this and win the game. Wow. Very good move. You can't move the rook along the lines, and you really can't take. You can't take the pawn because I give you a check, and no matter where you move, I promote and I win the game. Devastating win by Hikaru. Devastating. We're gonna be back very soon. We're back. We're in another critical position. After a few moves were exchanged, we get to game 15, I think, or 17. I just don't remember. And we get the status quo once again. 10.5 to 10.5 is the score here. And we get the bullet section. And bullet section was so magnificent. So beautiful. I want to jump in right away. e4, c5, knight f3. The clock, look at the clock. This player is just moving like crazy. And we get bishop to c2 here. Nakamura significantly has advantage on the clock. We've seen bullet chess championship where Hikaru destroyed his opponent and we get the endgame here. But Magnus, with the grind, with the maneuver, with the pawn pushes, with the endgame skills, just destroys Hikaru in this game. Just with the black, he pushes forward, avoids checks, trades, and this guy is just amazing. He pushes, and after that he goes with the f3 move. You can't stop him. Now, beautiful bishop to f4, sacrificing the bishop. If you take, I push, you lose. Very simple. Hikaru sees that, he plays here. We get pawn push, and this game is just devastating. Nakamura is just out of his mind. Nakamura just lost like he had no chance here. But Magnus, with the beautiful endgame skills in the 1 minute struggle, wins the first bullet game. And we're gonna be back with another one very soon. Another very critical moment in the game. Magnus has built up 2-point advantage. He's up by 2 points. This is where we're getting to the end. Magnus has 2-point advantage. And he's playing against Hikaru in bullet. Hikaru goes for e4, c5, traditional Sicilian, knight coming to c6, maneuvering, and we get this position where Hikaru has a significant advantage of the clock, and let's see how we'll use it. Castles by Magnus, bringing the rooks, putting the knight on f3, pushing the pawns. Hikaru with all of the attack. Hikaru is very tired. He's very frustrated on himself because he lost so many games to Magnus. And here, h7. You wanna just promote. Only move here is queen takes e4 or king coming here. Yeah, and now king e7. This move is just queen b7 check. This is just so bad. You promote and you with the 2 queens. Just win the game in 36 moves. Hikaru has 28 seconds on the clock. Magnus burned down the clock because he wanted to end the game quickly. He doesn't give Hikaru much of a chance here. And game is down to 1 point. Let's see another game. Last game of Speed Chess Championship. We reviewed the last game, which was the game where Hikaru won, and he was down 1 point against Magnus. If he wins this game, Hikaru, he will catch up to Magnus, and we get the Armageddon. We get the tie breaks. Because the game will be tied. But Magnus only needs a draw here to win the game. Because after draw, the clock has run out of everything. And just, there's no more games left to play it. And Magnus will win. Decisive game. We saw in the 2022 Rapid Speed Chess Championship this position, similar to it, where Magnus needed to win. He won the game, but it wasn't enough time on the clock to win the game. So let's see what happens here. Magnus with the last game of the tournament. Last game of the Speed Chess Championship with 30-30-80, 3,380 bullet rating. Plays move e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, knight c3 again. Exchange here, bishop to e3, knight to e7, castles, bishop to e2. Now, Hikaru goes here. He goes for all-out stack. Magnus has just devastating advantage. Look at these pieces. 2 point. It is just. Look at this. Just everything. Looking at the diagonals, the knights, exchanges. Pawn is in the center, controlling the square. The square is nothing. You can just play a4 and you can control it again. Magnus is just winning, but Hikaru has to risk it. Rook h1. Hikaru plays like a demon. He doesn't lose a second. Rook h8. The game has tied. Hikaru is like a demon. He just doesn't spend time. He just moves. Knight takes f3. Pawn takes f3. Bishop to a2. Check. Brilliant move by Nakamura. Winning the pawn. You can't take the bishop because queen e3 check. Queen e6 check. You move back, I take the bishop, and then we're tied up a pawn. But after that check, king c1 by Magnus. Magnus doesn't care. Bishop to e6. h4. The time is running out for the Hikaru Nakamura. Rook takes h6. Move a5. Rook g1, pawn to b6, rook to g5, attacking the queen. Nakamura plays best move, c5, rook h2, a4, rook d2, a takes b3, c takes b3, king to b7, rook takes d6, rook a4, a8, f5, queen f1, f takes c6, rook a1, which is the horrible blunder. Queen c2, even the worse. Magnus, just losing. Magnus just loses his game. Hikaru has 5-point advantage. It's -5. Rook a8. What the hell is this move? And Nakamura. Magnus doesn't give any more chances. Rook a7 check. Rook d7 check. Check again. Brilliant. Takes. And we get draw. This is just over. Draw between these two players. Wow. So bad. No matter what you move, you're gonna lose king a7, just like queen d7 check. Queen d7 check just wins the game. Queen d7 check, you can't go anywhere it's mate. Oh my goodness, Hikaru had the chance to even win this game, and he loses it with in this position. He had -5 advantage. Movie series. Rook a2 check. Rook a2 check just wins the game. You take. Well, rook a8 check just comes. Well, you wanna go here, okay? I'm gonna give you mate. And he gave a chance. And after f takes c6, rook a1 was a mistake. Rook a1 was a horrible mistake. Rook takes b6 check. Rook takes b6 check. And after takes, queen c5 check. Okay. This was amazing tournament. This was amazing. Between Maxime, Wesley, Ferrugia, and many other players. Wow, this was Nihal, Arjun. No, Arjun wasn't playing. Jan. It was amazing. This chess championship was one of the best chess championships of all time. And with the final, with the grind, Carlsen comes out of top with the victory, with only 1-point advantage, 13.5 to 12.5. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe.